I'm just going to first of all go through your dozen a day, that down up slur on page 15, skipping. Okay, so I call it down up because the action really is of the hand to drop on the first note to give it that bit of weight that you need to pull down on the note, and then the up is on the second note. So you don't whisk your hand off the keyboard obviously, but it just gives that pull down, that lift up with a lighter, shorter note, and you do that on each pair of slurred notes. Down, up, down, up, down, up. So it's just encouraging a bit of freedom and flexibility in the wrist. You don't want the hands ever to be really rigid. Okay, so it's just using a little bit of movement and the weight of the arm to help with that technique. Then moving on to your Song of Erin, I'll play it all the way through for you. Carry on to the next line. So though I'd suggest you did the first two lines, you might want to look at the next line as well. So first of all, to get that left hand so that you've got the first three notes as if they're forming a chord, and it's actually part of a broken chord system there. So although it's not based on your C chord, it's based on the F chord, it's using that same pattern of fingering and pattern of notes. So A, C and F, make sure the fingers are spread accordingly. Okay, so to begin, the two hands are not too bad here. You've got F in the left hand. Important thing is that you let the left hand up in that rest there. Chord with the B flat, which is tied. Then release in the rest and carry on with the D and the C. The next line starts exactly the same. Release in the rest. Rest, move the thumb to middle C. Okay, so the left hand is the one that you have to think about a little bit more with the rests. 1, 2, rest for 2 beats. 2, 3, 4, 1, then a rest. 2 beat rest. 1, 2. Rest and move. Okay, so use that rest in bar 7 to move your hand. Up, move the thumb to middle C, ready to go down on that last chord. Okay, now if you go on to bar 9, onto the third line of the music, you've ended in bar 8 with your chord. The right hand will need to move, so you'll need to do that lift and move that we've talked about. So the second finger needs to go to E, and the left hand also moves, so the second finger goes to middle C. So both hands have got to do some adjustment there. So again, if I go from bar 8 with the chord, the long chord, so lift and move the right hand, move the left hand. Now hold this B flat while you continue in the right hand. You've got that chord and then a 2 beat rest. And again, at the end of that line, the left hand has moved very slightly again. You've already moved from the thumb to the middle C to the second finger on middle C. Now you're moving to the third finger on middle C, ready to go back to where you were from the beginning, the same hand position again. So the left hand changes from the thumb to the second finger to the third finger. okay? There's an octave stretch in the right hand in bar 10, which you don't have to join. If you look at the way the phrasing, which is the word we call it, the slur runs between the top D, the higher D, and the end of the line. So before that, you can actually have a break. So you can play the lower D, let go, and start afresh on the higher D. Okay, as you come down that right hand there, the third finger goes over to the F, and the 2 and the 4 then play the little chord. And then to move to the very last line, again, you've got to move the right hand back to where it was at the beginning with the thumb on the F. Okay, so I'm going to do that third line again because it's a little bit more involved. Don't forget the B flat. Now hold the left hand, play the chord, do the rests, move the third finger to middle C. Then you're ready to go into the last line, which is almost the same as you've already played before. Rests in the left hand. Now the chord here has got an extra accidental. It's got a D flat. So you've got 2 black keys, B flat and D flat. Use the rest to move the thumb to the middle C, ready to do the last chord. Okay, so between the second line and the last line, that chord is the only difference with that extra black key, that extra D flat. And it's a slightly unusual chord as well. The sound is a little bit unexpected. There it is. Lift and move. Okay. So hopefully you get on okay with that one.